Hi, my name is Paul, and today I'd like to talk to you about Research Triangle Software Innovations dilemma. So there are three companies involved, in this case. Research Triangle Software Innovations, who's a leading provider in ERP software. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So they're company number one. Company number two is Oak Manufacturing, who's a client of Tar and Heel, which is the third company. Tar and Heel, is a professional services firm who also provides ERP services. Primarily, they're providing accounting, auditing, tax services, but they do also provide ERP services. Oak Manufacturing approached Tar and Heel for their recommendation of an ERP software. So the dilemma is Tar and Heel, who do they recommend? Which ERP software do they recommend? Do they recommend Research Triangle software? Do they recommend their own, or do they recommend a different provider altogether? Regarding Steve's leadership style, Steve is the manager of the Oak Manufacturing account. He works for Tar and Heel. So Steve's leadership style, he's a pretty amiable guy, meaning, he's in tune with emotion, he's in tune and familiar with his, the members of his team. To illustrate that, he has a member, Roseanne, who's a very good subject matter expert in ERP software. She has multiple degrees, very higher education degrees, very well versed in ERP software, very capable of making the decision or recommendation, and he's utilizing her strengths throughout this case because he knows her well and he knows how to use the team to the best of their abilities. He has some bus driver tendencies, meaning he's not afraid of confrontation, he's not afraid of conflict. He called out Gary, who's another member of the team, when he felt that Gary was making perhaps a biased recommendation as far as what ERP software that they should recommend to Oak Manufacturing. But Gary, ultimately he wants to do what's right, which again was evidenced by calling Gary back in to have another discussion about what it is what software that they should recommend. If Roseanne is unable to convince, Gary and Steve convince Gary and Steve not to recommend their own product, because it's at the very least a conflict of interest, if not a AICPA Code of Professional Conduct violation, she should present the data blindly, meaning she shouldn't when she presents the findings, she should do it by just saying, hey, Company A, here's how they scored. Company B, here are their scores, C, D, so forth. That way, they're not aware of which company is which, and they're really just looking at raw data and making the decision based off of that raw data findings. That ensures that they're making an objective and rational decision, and they're not guided by potential gain from their own, ERP software being chosen. She should also speak to what it could do to the reputation if they're unable to, or if they recommend a subpar ERP software. They might have a little financial gain in the short run by gaining another client, but they could lose a lot more in the future, or even current clients if the word gets out that they're not recommending the best products. AICPA, Code of Professional Conduct violations, I thought I saw 3. Public interest principle, they need to do what's best for the public. Recommending their own ERPs just so that they get another client is not what's best for the public. Integrity principle, they were hired to recommend the best ERP software. I would argue that's not what they're doing if they don't recommend the software provider that scored the highest. And then objectivity and independence principle, we spoke of that already. By knowing the company names and then making a recommendation after they know the company names, that's not an objective decision. Thank you.